Today's restorative Pilates class is all about getting back into movement after you've been sick. So I've had a terrible cold for the last close to 14 days, one of the worst colds that I've had in recent memory. And it was not COVID because 7 rapid tests and 1 PCR test later, they were all negative. So colds still exist and they are hitting hard, or at least it hit me really hard. So for the last 2 weeks, I really haven't moved at all. And I want to start moving again, but I also don't feel like I'm quite ready to do a full, crazy, hard workout. So this is what I like to do when I'm recovering from being sick, where I can move my body, but it's not something that is like really strenuous. It's not going to wind me at all. It just gets me moving and kind of starts to prime the pump for when I want to do harder work or when I'm ready to do harder work. So please grab your mat, come and join me on the mat, and we are gonna get a little bit of movement into our bodies. All right, we're gonna start on our backs. I don't always like to start on my hands and knees after I've been sick, especially with a cold, because sometimes that nasal congestion is still living up there and it can cause a lot of pressure in your head, which is just not enjoyable. So we may go onto our hands and knees at the end of the class, but for right now, we're just gonna find ourselves on the mat. And the first thing we're gonna do is just rest here. So just taking a few breaths in and exhaling out, and just seeing where that breath is landing. So one of the things I noticed when I was sick is that my breath was staying quite high up in my chest. I had a very hard time getting it down deep into my rib cage. So I'm actually going to take my hands and place them at the bottom of my rib cage, just above the waist. And I'm going to send my breath into those hands. So I'm not forcing the breath into my hands, but I'm just using it there as a kind of tactile guidance. Trying to get it out of my, throat and just a little lower into my body. One more time. I'm going to float my arms up to the sky. And the first thing I'm going to start with are scapula glides. So reaching my fingertips towards the sky, feeling the shoulder blades wrap around the ribs, and then just let the arms get nice and heavy in the joint. Let the shoulder blades glide back toward each other. Reaching the arms up and then melting them down. So again, it's a small movement. I'm trying not to get my shoulders up into my ears or tense up too much around my neck on this. I just want to feel the shoulder blades wrapping. Just feeling nice and easy. Couple more. So again, just finding that breath, that pelvic floor breath, that breath into the lungs. Into arm scissors from here. Just mobilizing. Letting the shoulder blades move. So this workout is all about just moving a little bit and doing movement that feels good for your body. If anything doesn't feel good, don't do it. If you're not there yet, don't do it. One more time. Arms up. Now both arms are going to go back. So I'm going to inhale my arms back. And I'm going to exhale, thinking of that pelvic floor activation coming up. As I inhale, I'm going to keep the ribs nice and heavy so I don't pop them up. Exhale, pelvic floor activation, drawing up through the abdominals. And again, inhaling and exhaling. Inhale and exhale. So the fact that I can take a deep breath right now and it doesn't lead to coughing is a win. From here, I'm just going to open my arms wide Exhale to close. Again, I'm just mobilizing, doing what feels good in the body, focusing on that upper body to start. 2 more. 1 more time. And exhaling. And I'm going to bring the arms down by my side. Taking a breath in. On my exhale, I'm going to bring my right leg or my leg closest to the camera up into tabletop. I'm just going to start with some gentle toe taps, exhaling down and inhaling up. Now I'm going to make this more challenging as I get a little further on in the class, but again, we're just starting with a little bit of mobilization work. Finding that breath is kind of the biggest part of this. Inhaling up, exhale, pelvic floor deepening. I have 2 left. Checking in on my core support. During that time when I was sick, let's bring the leg down, we'll do the other side. Did I lose the connection to my core? Toe taps is an excellent way to bring it back. Now this class is a little different than all of my other classes in that I don't have a set plan. I'm really just doing what feels good for my body today because every day is different, especially when you're recovering from an illness. So this class, I'm just doing a little off the cuff. I'm doing what feels good. I might make up some moves. They might be less traditional Pilates moves. 1 more time. But it's all about, and bring the leg down, but it's all about finding movement that feels good for you, especially when you're just reintroducing movement after being sick. Just a couple of double knee drops here. Inhaling, pelvic floor widening. Exhale, pelvic floor coming in and up. Just 2 more. 1 more time. And I'm going to leave the legs closed. Moving into a hip roll, I want to mobilize the spine. I'm going to use that pelvic floor and abdominal work to help me with it. So taking a breath in. On my exhale, as I pull up through the pelvic floor, I'm going to let that tailbone float up to the sky, so much so that it begins to lift and peel my spine up off of the mat. I'm just going to the base of my shoulder blades. I'm just going to feel the heaviness of my feet into the mat, reaching out through my knees, taking a breath in, and exhale, melting down, deepening the tummy muscles, and letting the tailbone get nice and heavy at the end. And again, breath in, exhale, deepening the abdominals, rolling yourself up through the spine, all the way up to the base of the shoulder blades, taking a breath in at the top, and then melting, melting, melting. 2 more like this, exhaling, rolling up. A little bit of glute energy there, just waking them up. And last one, deepening the tummy muscles, rolling myself up through the spine. I'm going to take a moment at the top there, float the arms up, reach them back behind me, and then from here, I'm going to roll down through the spine, reaching away from my armpits, feeling a big stretch through the armpit all the way to the fingertips. Tailbone gets nice and heavy. The arms are going to come up and they're going to stay up there. I'm going to take a breath in, and on my exhale, bring my legs one at a time to tabletop. Now, you can keep 1 foot down on the ground if that is more comfortable for you today. I'm moving into alternating toe taps from here. Exhale, toe tap, inhale up. Exhale, toe tap, inhale up. Now, if you are going to keep 1 leg down, you would just do 1 leg. Keep the arms up though. That's going to help engage that core just a little bit more. Otherwise, you can join me with that alternating toe tap, deepening the abdominals, making sure that we are truly connecting with the abs, and you don't feel like you're pulling into your back. If you're feeling like you're pulling into your back today, put 1 foot down. So even this, just after, 10 days, 14 days of being sick and really not doing much physical movement, this is a challenge. I can really feel those abdominals working hard here. Last one. I'm going to keep my legs in tabletop and go to a double knee drop from here. So letting the inner thighs open wide. Exhale, pulling up through that pelvic floor, dropping them in together. You can bring the hands down by your side if it's a little bit too much to have them up. Again, do what feels good for your body. You're recovering. This is a recovery class. And let's do this for 4 and 3, 2, and one more time here. Inhaling to open, exhaling to close. Arms are going to come down, legs are going to come down. And I'm going to move into leg circles from here. Now, I'm going to extend my right leg nice and long on the mat, and I'm going to bring my left leg up. Now, you can do this with a bent leg if it feels like it's too much to have the other leg straight, okay? I'm going to cross the body. Exhale as the leg circles down and open. Inhale as it comes up. Exhale at the bottom. Inhale up. Now, the challenge with leg circles is to keep your oppositional hip connected to the mat. So it's really easy, especially as that leg opens to the side, don't want to lift the hip. We're not going to do that. That's where the oblique control comes in. This is my last one in this direction. Reversing. Inhaling at the top, exhaling at the bottom. Exhale, find that nice oblique connection. I got 2 more here. Trying not to get too grippy in my ribs. It's hard. One more time. Woo, bending the leg and then sliding it down or keeping it bent if your supporting leg has been bent. I'm going to bring my other leg up to the sky, and here are my leg circles. Again, I'm working hard to keep that oblique nice and supported. I want to keep my hip and my rib connected to the floor. 2 more, while staying quiet up in the chest, quiet in the back. And then I'm going to reverse the direction. Two more. One more time. Bending the leg and coming down. Now, all I'm going to do here, both of my legs are going to be long for this. I'm going to slide one leg up and extend it, then bend it, and slide it back down. And do that on the other side. I just feel like this is what my body wants to do today. Is it a Pilates exercise? I don't know, but it's movement, and that's all I'm looking to do today is just move. Keeping the ribs supported. I'm going to do one more time on each side. Exhaling as I find that leg lift and down. Excellent. I'm going to come onto my side now and start with some spinal rotations. So I'm going to do a full clock with my arm for my spinal rotation here. My legs are coming out at 90 degrees and I'm reaching the arm out. Excuse me. Sweeping the arm down. I'm going to turn my head. The arm begins to sweep up, and I'm going to sweep it up above my head, rolling myself back. And I do that again. So the arm is going to sweep down to the hip. I'm going to start to open the chest up. The arm comes up on the high diagonal. It comes up over my head, and I rotate through the spine to come back. One more time like this. Rotating around. Excuse me. Clearly not 100% yet. And back. I'm going to do this on the other side before I get into a little sideline leg work. So reaching the arm down, opening up through the chest, up, over the head, and returning. 2 more, just enjoying the opening of the rib cage, letting that top leg glide back, letting the bum open and in. All right, from here I'm gonna go into some sideline work. So I'm gonna choose to stay down. You can come up onto your forearm if you're feeling like you want that challenge. My leg is nice and straight. I'm gonna flex the foot and start with bend and stretch. So bending the knee in and out. We wanna keep the knee on a slight angle up. I don't want it to drop down to the floor, so I'm not looking for this. You want that slight external rotation or parallel from the hip joint. Squeezing the bum as I go out, folding it in. I've got about 2 left here. 1. We're gonna hold it out there, hold it there. I'm gonna point the foot, just a little internal and external rotation. So now I turn the leg in and then I turn it out. So my hip is nice and square. It is also stable and supported here. All I am moving is my thigh bone in the joint. So I'm rotating my thigh bone from the very top of my hip joint to find that internal and external rotation. 2 more. And 1. I'm gonna flex my foot. It's in parallel. Go into some nice scissor or side kicks, engaging the glute, going forward and back. So again, this is just kind of what the body feels like doing. I just feel like swinging my leg a little bit. But I'm still working on all those principles of Pilates. I have my hip hinge, so I'm not rounding through my spine. I've got my rib and hip in the same plane, stacked on top of each other. I'm inhaling forward. Pelvic floor is active as I go back. 2 more. Last one. I'm gonna hold the leg back there, reach my arm up overhead, and I'm just gonna sweep the arm down and back up. So my leg is just slightly behind me here. Hips are still square. Arm is going to my hip and back overhead. Sweep it and sweep it. 2. Now you can bring that leg in if it's too much to keep it lifted. I'm gonna bring the arm up overhead, flex the foot and do pulses up with the leg. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Bringing it all in. Going to the other side. So, stacking the hips, reaching the leg out, flexing the foot. We start with bend and stretch. So hinging at the hip joint and engaging the glute. Hinging at the hip joint and engaging the glute. Just nice and easy. Hips are stacked. It's harder to feel that pelvic floor activation here. You can think of your hip bones gently drawing in toward each other, like if they had a red string between them and it was just tightening. 2 more. 1 more. Holding it out there, pointing the foot. Here's my internal and external rotation. So again, I'm trying to keep my pelvis as quiet as possible. The thigh bone coming right out from that hip joint. Turning it in and out, and in and out. 2, 1. I'm gonna flex the foot, side kick forward, and back. Forward, and back. Inhaling and exhaling. 2 more. Inhale. Last one. I'm going to bring the leg back, hold it back there, reach the arm up overhead. Keep the leg where it is. The arm sweeps down to the hip and then back up. And sweep. and up. Now, if you're up on your forearm doing this, make sure you're pushing that floor away, you're not sinking into the ribs. It's a little bit more challenging with that forearm. Do what feels best for you today. 2 more. 1 more time. I'm going to bring that arm up overhead, holding it there. I'm going to flex the foot and pulse it up for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then bring it all in. I will come up onto my hands and knees. I'm not feeling too much sinus pressure, so it's a good day to come onto the hands and knees. But if you are feeling that you're still kind of not great around the sinuses, you can omit this part. I'm going to go into my kneeling hinges from here. I love kneeling hinges. I love kneeling hinges on a good day, but I especially love it on days where I don't feel super great. There's something about this movement and mobilizing the hip joint that's really soothing. And I've been watching my 9-month-old figure out how to crawl, and she gets her knees under her, and guess what she does? Hinges. She hinges herself back and forth just like this as she starts to learn her movement. So right from even like that age, before you're 1 year old, this movement, it's very primal in the body. There's something about it that makes us feel very safe and very connected. So I love a good kneeling hinge. 2 more. And 1. I'm just going to go to some swim preps, challenge my core a little bit here, taking a breath in. I'm going to extend my left leg out behind me, making sure that I'm really nice and supported through my right leg, especially that right inner thigh. It's going to be easy to sink into my hip, but I really want to think of stacking tall through the inner thigh. Tummy is pulling in. And from here, I'm going to reach my right arm out into space, and I'm just going to hold it. I'm not getting fancy with the work. And if that's too much, you can just keep your hand down and just keep the leg extended. And we're just holding it, breathing for 3, 2, keeping the gaze lifted to the end of the mat, and 1, and then coming back in and doing the other side. So remember, this class is all about just reintroducing movement after being sick, doing what feels good. There's nothing super crazy hard about it. We're just reconnecting. Inner thigh nice and supported, tummy is nice and supported, reaching out through the fingers and the toes. 3, 2, and 1, and coming in. To finish our class today, I'm just going to do a little thread the needle to get a little bit more mobilization through my upper body. So I'm going to open one arm out to the side, threading the needle, rotating through my rib cage as I bring it under the body. And then as I rotate back, I'm going to push the floor away and open my chest up to you. And then I'm going to rotate the head, the collarbone, the rib cage, and coming back. Now, again, if this isn't comfortable for you on your hands and knees, do the seated bow and arrow. If you've done my classes before, we've done that exercise numerous times, and you can do the seated bow and arrow as an alternative to this. We're going to do the other side. Opening the arm out, head, collarbone, rib cage, pushing the floor away, opening up, and rotate and open. Just one more here, trying not to tuck my bum as I find that rotation, and then coming down and just pushing myself back. I'm not going to bring my head all the way to the floor for child's pose. You can if it feels good, but I am going to stay lifted a little bit in my chest. I'm even going to just bring my forearms down, but I'm not going to go all the way down to the floor. And I'm just gonna take a moment to breathe again. My legs are quite wide. I'm gonna open them a little bit more, let the belly drop. And just one more breath. Actually, let's do a couple of breaths and just check in with yourself. Is the breath going a little lower than it was at the start of the class? Does it feel a little easier for that breath to descend? One more time. And then I'm going to just gently stack my spine, roll myself up. And there you have it. So there you go, a class today to help you get back into movement after having been sick. This is a great recovery class. You don't have to do it after you've been sick. You can really do it at any time. But for me, these are some of the movements that I like to do to get myself back into my body after I have been, excuse me, a little sick. And you can hear it in my voice, I'm still not quite there yet. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed today's class, and I will see you in our next restorative video. Bye.